Hey, how goes it? And welcome back. Super glad to have you guys. Glad you're here watching this. So today I'm gonna talk about, why recovery is scary and why some people struggle with it so hard. Like, I know for me, when I was struggling, people would always ask me, "Why don't you just stop, man?" And it's like, on one hand, I have this part of me that wants nothing to do with it, is super sick and tired of being sick and tired. But then on the other hand, it's like the God and the devil. But before I get too carried away into this, I encourage you guys, I would think, being that a lot of my traffic more recently has come from Lockdown's channel, that you guys might have heard of JC from Wrong to Strong. Well, he's doing a little program. It's like a 90-day thing. Weigh-ins are August 12th. And, it's for good. It's for bettering yourself. I encourage you guys to check that out. I'm going to take part in it. And I'm also going to kind of share it with you guys and how it goes and where it goes. My starting weight, ending weight, what my muscle mass is, things like that. I encourage you guys to take a look at it and participate. And if not, follow along with me and see how I'm doing. Anyways, now that I got that out there, so yeah, my addiction started very early. I was like probably 16 or 17 when I first got into pills, and then it wasn't that long after, I was like 18, 19 when I got into heroin. And, at first nobody really knew. Like, people knew, but it wasn't like broadcasted like it was later on in my addiction. So, once things started getting bad, like before I got busted, it's, why don't you get clean and sober? And so later on in my life, after I got busted and was fighting my case, they're like, dude, was that not enough of a wake-up sign for you? And I still didn't get it together. So I go to prison, I get out, I do good for a few months, it was actually almost a year. It's like 9 or 10 months. And then I get sucked right back into it. And they're like, dude, why don't you get your shit together? Like, for real. So then fast forward another about 2 years, and they say again, why don't you get your stuff together? Well, what it boiled down to is, imagine just erasing your life the way it is right now and just completely starting over. Completely. All your friends, everybody that you associated with, everything that you've been doing or know how to do, just get rid of it all. It's scary, I had spent so much time building negative relationships with negative people to do negative things, whether that be my connections or people I would middleman and things of that nature. I spent every waking moment investing in these people. My addiction was an investment. So I have all these people in my life, and it's like, that's what I know. That's what I'm comfortable with. And as sad as it was, I was good at it. I had developed my hustles, and it was working for me in a very, very sick way. Obviously, it wasn't serving me, if that makes sense, because I was in just straight self-destruct mode. But that's what's crazy. That's how sick you are, because you think everything's awesome and that it's going as good as can be. And so to erase all that and get rid of it is kind of scary, especially when you become somebody. And what I mean by that is, people depend on you. You're the guy. You can get it. If you don't have it, you know where to get it or who can get it. And it's a job in itself. Because, at least for me personally, every day I'd have a person or two hitting me up. I'd have my own little hustles to get money. Granted, this is after I got out of prison and decided I'm not going to go back for selling drugs again. So I came up with my own little side hustles. Maybe I was selling a little bit, but not in the capacity I was, because I made a choice that I wasn't going to do that again. Because when you are the man, not only does everybody want your spot, but you're the guy that if somebody gets pinched, you're vulnerable. Because 90% of these dope fiends out here, they don't want to go to jail. Heaven forbid they have to deal with consequences of their own actions. So you're very, very vulnerable, man. And the next guy wants your spot, and he'll do what he's got to do to knock you off that totem pole. So the biggest thing is that it's scary, to change everything in your life that you've essentially worked to create is scary. It's hard. And that was one of the biggest things I myself struggled with. Obviously, there is a physical dependence for a heroin addiction, but that fast lifestyle, 90% of the time you don't really have any responsibilities. You got like a prepaid cell phone, like no bills, nothing that is requiring you to buckle down, so to speak. And I'm very fortunate that I did it when I was younger, so it wasn't like, I look at these dudes who are 50 and 60 and struggling still. Not that they can't get it together, because believe you can, and I've seen it done, but I didn't want to be that guy. I did not want to be that guy. So I did what I had to do to get it together. Gosh, I need a haircut. And put my nose to the grindstone. And, I haven't looked back since. But that's another thing, especially for me. A lot of the relationships that I had or built, so some of the relationships were relationships I'd had since high school, before all this happened. So, erasing the people I knew was scary. Now, granted, some of them got clean and sober and got their stuff together and we linked back up, but it can be a scary thing to tackle. But that aside, like I was starting to say, is the resources. They're out there. But when you're in addiction, you're not necessarily looking for those avenues to get clean and sober, or where you can go, or, what programs will take you without insurance. All of these things. Not everyone's in this situation, but for me personally, I was kind of bouncing from place to place, couch to couch, girlfriend's parents' house, so I didn't have a home base either. And that, it boils down again to when you're associating with negative people and doing negative things, well, those are the avenues you create where you're going to stay and where you're going to do this and where you're going to do that. So you really are starting over from scratch. Fortunately for me, between my parents and my girlfriend's parents, once I kind of explained to them what I was doing and how I was serious about recovery, they said, all right, well, we're going to help you out. Do not let us regret this. So that's what I did. I made sure that they weren't going to regret it. Got a job at a gas station pumping gas for $9 an hour. But as I kept doing the right thing, more opportunities presented themselves. Things started to fall into place. And I started dealing with the problems that were in my life and fixing them, you know. I was thinking about my future farther than 24 hours ahead. I was doing proactive things. I was meeting proactive people. I was going to meetings. And it's weird because when you're in addiction, you think this isn't gonna work. Those people don't want to help me. But it's seriously crazy how many people out there honestly are willing to help you out. It can be overwhelming sometimes, how many people are actually willing to help. If you go to a meeting and say, hey, whatever it may be, this, that, whatever's happening, I need some help. Can I get some opinions? People care. So, I mean, that generally is the biggest thing for why people struggle with getting so, you hear it time and time again. Just get clean. Just stop doing it. It's not always that easy. Because between the physical dependence and the environment you've created, it's hard to commit. So if you're staying with people that are doing no good and you're trying to get clean, well, when you're sick, you're even more vulnerable. So it's there. So you do it. You gotta have somewhere. Best thing is a facility to get clean and sober. But if you're gonna cold turkey it out, it's gotta be somewhere that you can realistically do it. Somebody's not gonna show up and say, oh, hey, I'm gonna get you well, or, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think with that, me sharing what was difficult for me, I will sign off from here. I encourage you to check out the Wrong to Strong thing, and I also encourage you to participate. It takes place on the 12th is the start, and then obviously 90 days after that is the finish. No matter where you're at in life, doing good, doing bad, whatever it may be, I encourage you to do it, because the discipline of working out, eating healthy, being conscious of your meals, being conscious of those kind of things makes you a stronger person, both mentally and physically. So check it out. And remember, if I can get clean and sober, so can you. I promise you that. And if you guys are struggling, feel free to reach out. My information should be below. And until I see you all next time, take care.